In 3, 2. And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome back in. Here we are. What's been happening? I pull out the there's a connector that I plug into the Zoom H6 recorder, and then it's whatever it is. It's like a 3-prong, I don't know, and then I have the a 3.5 millimeter thing jack going to an Apple USB-C to 3.5 millimeter thing, and then that's plugged into the iPad. I record maybe 3 podcasts a week if I'm lucky. and then with this thing plugged into the iPad, that's 3 podcasts. I went to pull out here. I'll even show it to you because it's not running right now. If you're watching the video, you can see the 3-prong that I'm talking about. I went to pull this out and it disconnected. It twists off here. It disconnected. And the wires were showing, and I don't know how that happened. I started freaking out. I'm like, oh my gosh. I don't even know what this is called. What do I buy? It works because you just heard the theme song. And also, quite frankly, I did an interview, and I just recorded the intro to the interview. What the hell is going on? It's been a long day. We're in the midst of the NBA Finals. And I was watching the game last night, and I was already tired. I was watching the game last night, and at some point around 9 o'clock, because I wake up at 3:55, at 9 o'clock, I went, I'm going to go to bed. So I went in bed, and I'm watching it on my phone, as I typically do not do. But I was watching it on my phone alongside, I really like about Samsung phones is that you can split screen, well, Android phones in general, but you can split screen 2 different videos. And I was watching The Simpsons and I was watching basketball. At one point, and this has not happened because I'm pretty good at going to sleep. At one point, I just fell asleep and the phone kept going. And I woke up to a very raucous fourth quarter and I went, I can't pay attention to this. I can't pay attention at all. And I just, I turned it off, and I'm already recording it on YouTube TV, so it's fine. I wake up, I don't see, what my concern is, I see a New York Times alert that says the Knicks have won, which I'm rooting for the Knicks. The Knicks have won. But I forgot what game it was. And I thought I was going to see that. But then I just turned it on. So again, it's 3:55. I turn it on. And I just watched the last couple of minutes of the fourth quarter. And I watched the comeback. I watched the comeback happen, and it was just astounding to see. In the end, I only got like 5 hours or 50 minutes of sleep. I'd typically shoot for 6, but I was very tired. I was not able to take a nap today because I've been working. If my boss is all listening. But no, it's just a very long day of a lot of work. On top of that, I was last night, prior to bedtime, asked if I would join a World Cup draft. I don't watch soccer. I don't even like soccer. But I said yes. I said, why not? I'm not doing anything. I know everybody involved, except for one person, but I know everybody involved. And then So all day long, the draft started at 10 a.m. And I'm not kidding. For 7 hours straight, we were drafting because we're all busy. And even though I am less busy than some people, it was it was so funny for it to be like somebody would be like, it's your turn to somebody else. And we're all commenting and making jokes or getting mad because by hour 6, people were very mad. Like, this is a waste of time. Why are we doing this? I'm pissed, blah, blah, blah. But it's very funny to, and like someone's busy, like I can't, I'll be in a meeting for the next hour. At one point it was me. Hey, I'm going to be talking to a comedian for the next hour or for the next 20 minutes, which turned to 30, I think, in the end. You're welcome. You'll be on the lookout next week. But it was a good time, and it was the first time I'd done a draft for or played a fantasy thing for soccer. So, you know what? I went ahead. I'm gonna admit to this. I went ahead and I went to Gemini, and I said, "Give me ideas, please. Give me ideas." I just closed the work laptop. Give me ideas, and I would. And the thing is, I took our list and I was very, 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 very detailed because I didn't want to go have a back and forth and waste water and electricity with asking a question. So I was very specific with what I wanted, and then I took the notes and almost immediately threw them out the window because the teams that it suggested were gone. Oh, but I ended up with a good selection of teams. In fact, I wonder if I could pull it up. Let's see. I just watched, one of my teams was South Africa, as I wrote down in the text. I was the last one to choose, period. So the last team I chose was South Africa. My teams are Brazil, Morocco, Ivory Coast, Iran, and South Africa. So hopefully I win some money from that, or I at least win my money back. I have to get to second place to win my money back. But I would love to take, how much was the buy-in? So I'd love to take 120, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, that was that. That was 7 hours. There was a point where I did step away from the work laptop, and I went to the pool for about 30 minutes. And we were still texting about it. All right, what else is going on? Oh, today I have to look at my notes. I wrote down notes this time because there's not a lot to talk about. Today the dog park near my apartment complex. Remember, I live in an apartment complex that has a dog park, and the people that purchase their dogs are not fans of Maverick, so I don't take him there. It's been like that since. Hey, Saturday is Maverick and my's. It's our 3-year anniversary together. When I adopted him at 6 months, a little baby boy from a family friend, because he was found in the streets, sick. But now he's here with me. And he's had 2 cat sisters, and he loves me and everybody. Anyway, so the dog park is in disarray. There are 2 buildings being built right in front of it. And unfortunately, it's affecting the enjoyment of the dog park. And people aren't even showing up anymore. So I just, like the regulars, like for the past year, we've been going at specific times so we can hang out with dogs he knows, including a doodle. I know I chirp a lot about how people with doodles don't like us, but there have been 2 doodles that enjoy his company and play just as hard as him. It is crazy. It's so great to see that. But now even those people are gone. And so now I either have to go to a fetch, which is fetch is like a bar dog park, and I don't want to do that. One, you have to pay for it. I don't want to pay, but that's where most people are going. And two, I don't want to be around. You know, you don't have to. You have to pay to get the dog in, but you don't have to pay as a human. But I don't want to be around. People drinking at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Also, I wouldn't take him at 2 p.m. Anyway, I've been walking Maverick more because of that. I typically take him to the dog park 3 times a week, but I've just been having been walking more, which means I've been sweating a lot more, which means I've been showering multiple times a day, which I already do on Mondays and Wednesdays because I do 2-a-days. But anyway, so I took him on a walk after we went to the recycling center, which is also moving. It sucks. It's like the world is out to get me. My recycling center is moving to West Atlanta, and it's moving not even just to West Atlanta. It's moving to a little bit further out, West Atlanta, to a new, there's like a housing development where they're building low-income housing. And that's great and everything. But that is to get from where I am to where they are currently in Grant Park. It's roughly at most 12 to 15 minutes. I've been timing out the west side part, and that one's been the west side location rather, and that's been roughly 20 to 30 minutes. I'm already not a fan of driving when I don't need to. But Charm is going to the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials. Going to Charm every week is. I started taking Maverick because we would go to the dog park after, and now it's our ritual. We enjoy it. It's the time he gets to ride in the car. He's not a huge fan of that, and it's more time for the two of us outside of the house. That's not exercise. So I've been walking him, and I've been drenched every single day. I'm not kidding. I pull off shirts, and I can wring them out. That's how, they're so wet. Speaking of wet clothes, this is, I go to the gym, I work out very hard, and I sweat a lot. Sometimes when I do my laundries on Sundays, actually all the time when I do my laundries on Sundays, and this has been a problem for a very long time. For years. My clothes are still wet from Monday, Tuesday. Towels, because I take my own towels to the gym because I'm a freak of nature. And I don't let them touch anything except for the inside of my book bag. And obviously my body. But towels are still wet. It's truly disgusting. I let things dry out. And then when I assume that they're dry enough, which they're not, obviously, I push them into, they hang on the side of the hamper, that I push them into the hamper. All of my clothes are wet now, just inside the hamper, and it's gross, and it's disgusting, and it stinks. When we were walking to get pet food today, Maverick and I were stopped. Almost immediately, almost as soon as I left the complex. We weren't even out of the gate. And I ran into a dog walker I know, who I met initially when I took Maverick under my care. And she offered up her services, and I was like, yeah, I'll call you. Never did that. But I knew she was. And then I was... She's a very nice woman. I was told that she was a strange type. And she is. And we're all strange. And that doesn't matter. But I didn't need her services. Anyway, we ran into her for the first time probably in the 3 years that I've owned Maverick. And she goes, hey, you remember me? I'm like, yeah, it's your name. And she goes, yeah. And we talk for a little bit. And she tells me, and don't you dare think I haven't been thinking about this since you told me this. I'm like, my chin is a little higher. She said, You've got great energy. I love your aura. I can see it's pink and purple, and it's just, yeah, like you're a good person. Like, we've only spoken twice, and you think so highly of me. And then I proceeded to watch South Africa just get pummeled by Mexico. All right, there's not a lot of news to talk about. So this is just what it is, as the kids say. It is what it is. I guess before you might be hearing Family Guy. I guess I'll do this story. Okay. This comes from Variety, and it's written by Brian Steinberg. Elizabeth Hasselbeck ushers in host tryouts at CBS Mornings. I speak about this, and in particular, I spoke about this on LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs and Business News podcast that comes out every Tuesday. CBS News is in what does not seem like to them, but definitely the perception is on the outside. CBS News is in dire straits. In short, CBS, when Barry Weiss took over after David what's his face bought the company, Paramount Skydance. Skydance bought Paramount, and he installed Barry Weiss as the head of CBS News, a woman whose credentials are unparalleled to mine. She took over CBS News. She dismantled CBS Radio, which is an institution and still very much needed in terms of reach in America. And CBS News is in upheaval, especially 60 Minutes, which saw a lot of staffers be let go, including a very fiery Scott Pelley. And the ratings for CBS Evening News have more or less tanked and evened out, more or less. They're finally back at 4 million viewers, but it's not saying much compared to everybody else, especially since they fell. They took a dip after Tony DeCopel took the desk over. I watch CBS Mornings, Good Morning America, The Today Show, and CNN This Morning almost Monday through Friday every morning, almost. And I watch those four shows in particular because I think the broadcasters are important, obviously. And I worked on CNN This Morning, so I used to work on that show. So I might as well watch that show. And I like the people on that show. It's the people in the control room that I fucking despise. Anyway, it's very true. And I will not take that back. But CBS Mornings, if you watch those shows, the big key of pretty much any news show, period, any talk show, any news show with multiple people hosting, is their ability to ping pong off of one another, to have conversations, just to have relationships, because we see those relationships on screen. And if somebody is not genuine, or if people seem like they hate each other, that's probably what it is. For Good Morning America, I've been watching for a long time, not as long as I've been watching like Today Show forever. And CBS Mornings, I was watching. I think my first episode was after Charlie Rose got in trouble. That was like literally my first episode was the one after the one when he was gone. But for GMA, I think those people don't have any chemistry, and I'm including Michael Strahan, George Stephanopoulos, and Robin Roberts. I don't think any of them have chemistry. I think that they bring in people way too often to sit at that desk. For morning news, the most important part is to get the news out there. The second most important part, in my eyes, is to have people who can deliver the news and do it every single morning, and it's people you know and it's people you trust. Because viewers, whether the people on the other side of the camera like it or not, and whether the viewers like it or not, there's a dynamic, there's a parasocial relationship that is created that is a very important aspect of why people continue to come back. You turn on the TV at 7 a.m. Who do you want to see? And for GMA, none of those people have any chemistry. They're always cycling. It's fascinating. They're always cycling people in and out of that desk. There shouldn't be 5 people at the desk in the morning at 7:18. Let the 3 people who were hired to be the main anchors do the show. Today's Show does that very well. They don't invite people to the desk all the time. And in fact, they just make their correspondents do stand-ups. And then the third host, that is Al Roker, is always omnipresent. That's great. That's why Today's Show is the best. There's nothing you can say about that. Whereas on GMA, they have 5 people, and then including Ginger, the beautiful, wonderful Ginger, doing weather or something like that. She's over at this big screen by herself. CBS mornings, somehow they're better than GMA, but there's no substance to them. Watching Gayle King try to talk about sports is just ugh. And I love Nate, but Nate still is not there yet. And then Tony DeCopel went to CBS Evening News. So obviously, since they don't have the personalities to hold that show down, they are bringing in a third person. Nora O'Donnell came back for like a couple of weeks ago, and I thought that was very fun to see her. But she's not going to go back to that show. It's kind of like when Hoda came in while Savannah was away. That was great, but we all knew it was going to be short-lived. So Elizabeth Hasselbeck is ushering in as host. She's ushered in as host the Trials of CBS Mornings. You might remember her from The View. You might remember her from Fox and Friends. This is kind of like, and I will continue to admit to this. When Megyn Kelly was brought in after she left Fox News to do the Today Show, the third hour, I think, I was supporting her. I think that anybody can have redemption. Chris Wallace did with Warner Brothers on CNN and HBO Max. So why not her? And then she just went. She said, "You're all believing in me? Fuck that shit." So we're going to see a bunch of people cycle in throughout the summer. If you're watching the video, you did see my eyes go from the article all the way up to the camera because there's flies in here. It's fruit fly in here. Fruit fly fest. I killed 2, just saw 1 more. Other people that are likely to come up include Inside Edition host Ava Pilgrim. And I don't know if I necessarily know who that is, but let's add it to the Google search. Oh, yeah. Oh, Ava Pilgrim. Yeah, she's been there for the past couple of days. That's who that is. Okay, cool. I've been wondering who that was. Because I watch in a quad on YouTube TV. You can do multi-view, and I watch them all in a quad box. That's how I watch all 4 of them. So Ava Pilgrim's been there. Nora O'Donnell is going to appear on Wednesday, throughout the program on Wednesday. It seems okay. I don't know why. This is all new to me. I don't know why they are bringing Nora back. She left CBS Evening News. She left CBS Mornings for CBS Evening News, and she left CBS Evening News for other ventures within the CBS News family. So it seems like they seem dead set on bringing a woman in to take in that third position next to Nate and Gayle, which is great. Women are great. People of any gender are great. Don't you fucking cancel me. But they've always been in the third place of ratings compared to Today Show and Good Morning America. And as CBS has proven in the past couple of months, in the past year, ratings are the only things that they care about. Again, I rail against Barry Weiss and now Nick Bilton, the man she hired to run CBS 60 Minutes, rather. But I would like to think that bringing in people like Elizabeth Hasselbeck, who is a former Fox person, is just a way of them trying to keep things measured, and they're not bringing and for what it's worth, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that Elizabeth Hasselbeck has said that was out of pocket, as the kids say. Vlad Dutier and Adriana Diaz have already been the beautiful Adriana have already. If you, I feel so bad because I used to do this with my ex, and I would watch TV. I like if we're watching the news or if we're watching a show or a movie, I used to be like, God, that woman is so beautiful, like in front of her, and be like, oh, I love her. She's so. I just want to fight. Oh, let me Google her and see if she's single. I do feel bad about that. Anyway, but Vlad and Adriana have been doing that third host thing for a little bit. I believe Adriana already hosts the Saturday show with the wonderful, beautiful Kelly O'Grady. And Adriana, just both of them. They've already been doing that. And I think now at this point, CBS Mornings is just not trying to compete as much with GMA or Today Show. They didn't report on Scott Pelley's firing because I was cycling the day I was watching it. I watched those shows while I cycle and after the gym, and I was cycling, and they didn't cover that. They covered a story that didn't matter, and I can't remember which one. That's why I can't remember it. But Scott Pelley was the lead story for GMA and Today Show. And then this morning, the day after the Knicks beat the Spurs in the last second of the game, of the fifth game, the fourth game, I guess. Their lead story was that, as opposed to what also happened last night. Breaking news: Iran and the U.S. trade strikes, but they're supposed to be on a ceasefire. It's just stunning to me how they choose to be willfully ignorant to the world around them in a bid to be the most accessible show. When the fact is, that comes from the cast of the show. I remember distinctly, and I'll move on after this. I remember distinctly when CNN was trying out a show with Caitlin Collins, Poppy. Oh, jeez, is it Poppy Harlow? It is Poppy Harlow, and oh Jesus, oh gosh, Don Lemon. Yeah, that's it. And those three were hosting, I believe, CNN this morning. That the original version, they were hosting that because I was there. I was at CNN at that point, or I guess I was at Cartoon Network at that point. Anyway, they were hosting that show, and they were announced, and those are like, you know, two of them would eventually become megastars. Even though Don, I guess, was like the biggest star at that point, and he knew it. But those three were hosting a show, and they went to a basketball game with David Zaslav. And I remember also David Zaslav was at the game last night. He was sitting with Larry David. I hate it. And he was wearing a backwards hat, and he was already in his billionaire douche garb, a puffer vest. You're in New York. It's hot. He was in a puffer vest and jeans and a short sleeve shirt, and the puffer vest was zipped up, and he had a backwards hat on. I'm like, you're 60 something years old. Jesus Christ, I fucking hate that guy. Anyway, and I do hate him because I don't have a job at Cartoon Network anymore. He's the reason. He was. What was I talking about? But anyway, he took them to a game. I assume the Knicks. He took them to the Knicks game, and there was video of them in the crowd, and I just went, those are four people who have nothing to say to each other. And that's my point. You can bring in any of these people, but you have to have chemistry and you have to have a reason for being there, because otherwise the audience isn't going to follow. And I think that's just what's important. All right, I'm moving on. This next one comes from Deadline, written by Jake Cantor. Doctor Who set to be off air for years amid a creative regeneration that's failing to spark enthusiasm among producers. Well before Ncuti Gatwa left the role of Doctor Who, of the Doctor, excuse me, and I wouldn't say well before, it was maybe like a couple weeks before, we kind of knew that the show wasn't coming back yet on Disney Plus, if at all. At that point, it had been two series as well as 3 specials that all co-starred Dave Tennant, kind of reminding you of what Doctor Who was and then showing you what it was going to be. And for what it's worth, every single one of those was good. I enjoyed both seasons of Ncuti's. Oh, and also the Christmas special. I enjoyed both shows, both series, the specials. I enjoyed everything. I enjoyed his assistants or partners, whatever the fuck they call them. I enjoyed them as well. The young ladies who were on tour with the Doctor Who. He plays bass, and that's it. Bass and cymbals. And unfortunately, this show was very expensive, no matter which way you put it. And it's hard and difficult, especially in today's industry, to pay for a show like that when it's not getting the views that Disney or whomever's producing wants. And you know what also sucks? Is those shows, those series, those specials are stuck on Disney Plus. This is what I was concerned about. I didn't want, like Futurama, I want to be able to buy all the seasons of Futurama. Unfortunately, you can't buy anything from the Hulu years. That could change in the future because there's a lot of shows and movies now that were streaming on only on Netflix or only on Disney Plus that you can buy, but it's not with every show and movie. That sucks. The UK industry insiders dropped a little after the BBC dropped a TARDIS bombshell on Wednesday. The BBC said that there's going to be a major creative rethink of Doctor Who. We're not doing a Christmas special this year. So that's just going to be the first time in, I think, a long time. I think probably since David Eccleston took over the role for the first time in the early 2000s. But we're not going to get a Christmas one this year. And apparently, things aren't looking good for the Doctor overall. 2 insiders said it was a mutual parting of ways after all sides realized that Doctor Who required a level of surgery that could not be masked by sticking the plaster of a festive episode. Remember, when Ncuti left, his Doctor regenerated into Billie Piper. So she's back on the show. She was originally with Dave Eccleston. And we won't get an explanation for this until 2028 at the earliest, sources said. Russell Davies, the showrunner, who was a previous showrunner, then left and now he's back, had no script for a Christmas episode. And there's no actor attached to play the Doctor. And this is a couple of months ago. So obviously, they're not going to be able to do anything now. But a Christmas episode was already announced last October. In a statement, the BBC said the decision to cancel the Christmas episode was, quote unquote, not taken lightly, and acknowledged that the news would, quote, to be disappointing for fans. Doctor Who is expensive, and it's just hard to make. Disney is one of the if is probably the most successful studio right now. Obviously, you idiot. So it's difficult, as an insider said, to see another major U.S. studio replacing Disney. So the budget would be hard to get above 3 million quid, UK dollar dues, or $4 million US per episode without significant co-pro or insane investment from the distribution arm, BBC Studios, which they will struggle to recoup on sales. It's it's tough, and again, Disney did not get the return that they wanted in viewership. Otherwise, that show would definitely be renewed. It's I don't know, man. I'm going to miss Doctor Who, and also right now you can't even watch it. I do believe AMC Plus is going to be the future home for the rights to watch older episodes. But other than that, new episodes won't come out for a very long time. I like Doctor Who. And I hope they figure this out, because you're going to piss me off if you don't. And finally, I want to get to this. This comes from IGN, written by Wesley Yinpool. Everything announced in Nintendo Direct, June 2026. We are in the time period during which there would typically be Electronic Entertainment Expo. That died a couple of years ago. And basically prior to that and ever since then, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, Devolver Digital, and several other disparate studios have been holding their own direct-to-consumer presentations. Thankfully, Jeff Keighley, and I don't know who else produces it, but Jeff Keighley created the Game Awards, and that those usually happen in the winter. But they have oh my gosh, hold on, something is happening. There's a timer happening, and I need to stop it. Give me 45 seconds. All right, I'm back. I'm so sorry. I'm in the middle of cooking dinner, and my timer. I didn't realize how long I've been talking, but the timer went off. Anyway, so Jeff Keighley, his Game Awards, they have taken over the mantle of an E3 like event called Summer Game. Oh shit, what's it called? Summer Game something? Summer Game Fest. Summer Game Fest. The most aptly named thing. Where they hold an E3 like in general press conference, and they show off games. So that started late last week, like Friday. And they showed off a bunch of games, and that was great. Sony had something, a state of play, and they showed off games. That was good. Xbox did it on Sunday. That's been their spot for as long as I can remember. So that was good. And then Nintendo did theirs on Tuesday, I think. And in theirs, I'm not doing Sony, I'm not doing Xbox. Sorry. In theirs, they announced an Ocarina of Time remake that looks so gosh darn spiffy. Oh my goodness, it looks so beautiful. And also, something that really surprised me, Kingdom Hearts 4. We knew Kingdom Hearts was going to continue. There's been like 7 or 8 games, and there's no way that you can stop Kingdom Hearts, Final Fantasy, Disney characters. I love it. It's great. Ask me how many Kingdom Hearts games I've beaten. Ask me how many I own. I own every single one of them. Ask me how many I've beaten. I love Kingdom Hearts, though. It's great. I've played a lot of them. So I'm excited to see this Kingdom Hearts, and I'm glad that a game like that is coming to Nintendo Switch. There were rumors that a Call of Duty was going to be announced. I think like Modern Warfare 2, whichever one's Modern Warfare is being remade again for the third time, second time, because I just played the remake campaign, and now they're just remaking the game. But I'm glad that these companies are supporting the Switch too, because it's a powerful little system, and if you can't figure it out now, for what it's worth, the Nintendo Switch was a low-powered device, and I'm so surprised that some really great third-party games were up and running on it. I'm surprised that even some first-party games were up and running on it. The Switch 2 is what the Switch should have been. And the Switch is a great system. The Switch 2 is what the Switch should have been. And it can run Cyberpunk 2, which is amazing. It's like, I have a Steam Deck. It's basically a Steam Deck. A Nintendo-flavored Steam Deck. Speaking of Kingdom Hearts, that will be physical or downloadable copies of 1, 2, and 3 will be headed to the remakes. Or I guess the bundles, excuse me, not remakes. Will be headed to the Switch 2. That's important because you can only, again, get cloud versions of the games, like versions that you could only play when connected to the internet over the cloud. There's a Minecraft coming. There's a new Dragon Quest Monsters coming. Dragon Quest was the game. There's a Game Boy. I don't know. I can't remember if it was the second game, but there's a Game Boy one that I played so much of, and then the battery died on the cartridge itself, and it wouldn't keep a save, and it would barely run when I put it in my Game Boy. They announced the Star Fox demo. There's a Star Fox game coming to Nintendo Switch 2 a day before my birthday on June 25th. And it will, but you can play the demo now. There's a new Nintendo Switch Sports Resort. If you remember the Sports Resort game from Wii U. This one has 12 sports. Boxing, table tennis, cool. Archery, cool. Tennis, volleyball, cool. Bowling, basketball, okay. Basketball, interesting. Golf. And one I missed in the trailer because I was probably answering an email. Thumb wrestling. So there you go. There's also going to be skateboarding, power cruising, and prop plane. There's a new Xenoblade game coming. I've never played a Xenoblade game, and also there's like 3 versions of the first 3 games across like 4 Switch systems. No, I mean not Switch, Nintendo systems, and also it's like Wii, I think, Wii U, and Switch. So 3. 3. In an hour and 11 minutes, Jay-Z was born. That's a reference. Devil May Cry 5, Lies of P, Lords of the Fallen 2. Those are all games that are already out, but they're coming to Switch 2, and that's going to be great. They kept talking more about the new Fire Emblem. Nintendo's doing something that I'm not a huge fan of. And they're charging more for physical games, like $10 more. So they'll release a game at $70, but then if you want the physical version, it's $80. That's ridiculous. There are people like me who are collectors, and it's just, even still, don't charge people $80 for this game on this proprietary cartridge. This is like, that will be the death of gaming. Well, that and having to, put money into a game you've already bought, like sports games, essentially. That's frustrating. But anyway, it sets a bad precedent. And also, my concern is, at least with PlayStation, with some PlayStation and with all mostly a general amount of Xbox. I have games on there from PS4 and Xbox One, or in the case of Xbox, also Xbox 360 and just regular Xbox. Like, I have games from all of those systems, and you can play them mostly on your current modern day systems. For Nintendo, the Switch is the first time they've had, and I know I'm using this word a lot, accessible downloadable games. We're in that. By that I mean, it's the first time that I can have a Switch and download a game and then delete it and then re-download. I don't think you could do that on a Wii. I don't know. You probably could do it on Wii. That would make much more sense. But then it's connected to your profile, your Nintendo profile. So my hope is that just like with the Switch 2, hopefully if there's a Switch 3 or if whatever next console they have, it's all tied to the same thing. So we're not rebuying games. And if you're going to do that, Nintendo, then keep selling us the old games. I want to be able to have Super Mario World for the rest of my life on one thing. I don't want to have to download a torrent and put it on my phone. I don't want to do that. You're making me do it. Hopefully, people, again, these companies, these third parties continue to support Nintendo. All right, I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me, talk to famous people sometimes. Remember, there is right after this one, next week, there will be a new interview up, as long as I don't die. This is the last episode, 385. There'll be an interview up next week, so enjoy that. If you want to see the other interviews, check out cpluscomedy.com, where you can see the written ones and a collection of written ones and all of the video ones. If you want to see a video version of those interviews, as well as this podcast and the other podcast, Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. There's a monologue now. And LinkedIn Logs, the jobs and business news podcast. There's no monologue, but it's very analytical. Head over to youtube.com/C+Comedy. You can also follow us on social media at C+Comedy. Also subscribe to this podcast wherever you get podcasts. Social media is C+Comedy, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, me at C+Comedy, me at Chad Black White. We'll see you next time. Bye.